Happy ending. Baby is born without a forehead, and after surgery she looks like this. The origins of many deformities lie in the bony skeleton. They may be either congenital or acquired. In the congenital deformities, form, size, and function are disturbed during the course of development, whereas in the acquired deformities, parts of the face are lost by surgery or trauma. This 7-year-old was born with a condition that meant her brain had managed to split her skull in half. A 7-year-old girl born with a huge hole in her forehead has undergone pioneering surgery to fill it using 3D printed technology. Grace Cabalenga had surgery at 4 years old to correct her craniofacial abnormality, but a large section of her skull was removed to prevent infection. As a result, Grace from Dola, Zambia has never been to school and is not allowed to play with other children as she is desperately prone to infections. Just falling over or being touched in the wrong place could have killed her, as the entire front section of her skull was missing and her brain was completely unprotected under the skin of her forehead. Now Grace has undergone state-of-the-art surgery in South Africa to have a specially constructed forehead implanted into her skull to encourage the bone to grow. Grace's unique facial condition developed in the womb, and her parents Ngula and Elijah desperately sought medical attention upon her birth. Ngula said, "When she was born, she was rushed to a children's hospital. There were so many doctors, but they told us they couldn't do anything because it was beyond their ability." Elijah said, "Grace had a craniofacial abnormality. The eyes, nostrils, the mouth, they were all far apart. The nostrils were actually 13 centimeters apart. The brain was suspended and stuck to the hard palate on her mouth. You could physically see it outside, just covered by a thin skin." Grace's face had been forced apart by an encephalocele, a defect in which part of the brain peeks through an opening in the skull, splitting open her face down the middle. It destroyed the base of the skull, meaning there was a hole in the roof of her mouth through which her brain was hanging. When Grace was 3 years old, she and her father Elijah flew to Argentina for her first life-changing surgery. After 6 months in hospital being treated by nutritionists to increase her size and strength, Grace was considered ready for the 21-hour surgery which lifted her brain and rebuilt her face. American surgeon Dr. Kenneth Saylor, founder of the World Craniofacial Foundation who stepped in to help Grace, said, "The reason to operate was to save her life. She couldn't live that way and would not survive long term." At 7 years old, Grace's face had healed, but she still has no bone in her forehead. She wore a padded helmet and her parents had to take continual care as only a thin layer of skin protected her brain. In May 2015, Grace and her mother traveled to Tygerberg Hospital in Cape Town, South Africa for a second surgery in which surgeons could reconstruct her skull. In order to create a new forehead, CT scans were used to construct a 3D model of Grace's skull. The model was then sent to a specialist who used a 3D printing technique to create a latticed framework made of biomaterials in the shape of Grace's forehead for her bone to grow around. The surgical team, including Dr. Saylor working with Dr. Frank Grayway of Tygerberg Hospital, delicately separated Grace's skin from the membrane that sits around the brain. Once the skin was separated, the new 3D template was implanted above Grace's brain. Dr. Saylor said, "This is just guidelines for where the skull would like to be. The implant is ultimately absorbable, and after 6 months it begins to break down and disappear. By that time, new bone has started to regenerate and creates a new skull." Now, after 7 years and 2 operations, Grace is finally on the way to living a more normal life. Ngula said, "I'm very happy to see her. She looks beautiful and she has really changed. When we get home, there's going to be a big celebration." It's hard to know how long Grace's skull will take to grow, but proud dad Elijah is already looking forward to her being able to play with other children. Every day she's still improving. When her immune system is really strong, then we can say now Grace can go out and mingle with any other person. The story of Grace and her incredible surgery is featured in the new series of Body Bazaar. Another story about an alien baby born with severe facial deformities. Heartless parents dumped their newborn baby boy at birth due to shame over his severe facial abnormalities, according to reports. The mother, who has not been identified, reportedly gave birth to the poor child at a Kisumu hospital in Kenya. But shocked hospital staff were horrified to find the parents had done a runner from the child born with an abnormally large head. Nurses at Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Referral Hospital are now looking after the tot, who has not yet been named. Photos of the child under the care of nurses have emerged on local media online. Birth defects are structural or functional abnormalities that cause physical or mental disability. A structural defect is when a baby is born with a part of the body that is missing or malformed. Researchers have identified more than 4,000 different types of birth defects, ranging from minor to major afflictions that need treatment. Figures show around 1 in 50 babies are born with birth defects in the UK. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel.